Hey guys, welcome to your Watch Me First for week 7. So this week is about the IRB application. You must have already received feedback on your research document, so you can use that feedback to revise whatever answers were there for your research document to help with your IRB application. As we've talked about before, the IRB application is same as the research document. Some of you must have done the consent form for the research document, but you don't need the consent form for the IRB application because your supervisor, assistant principal, or principal has already given you permission, right? Has already said yes for the data. So let's look at things more in detail. So this is the IRB application again. This is the documents that you need, and then this is my certificate because you need this certificate. Okay, and I'll explain this in a second, but this is the IRB application stuff, and then this is the blanket IRB for the ones who are doing the blanket IRB, and here are the instructions for the blanket IRB. So let's look at each one of those things separately. So obviously you have looked at the IRB application before. I'm going to open it up one more time. When you're filling up the IRB application, it is actually downloaded document which does not highlight the red if you have a spelling mistake or anything else. So just be careful about that. So this is what the application look like. Most all your applications would be exempt. That means that you are, when you're collecting data, you're using already used data or already data that was available, STAR testing, map testing and all. Expedited is when you are actually doing surveys, and this also you're going to be, if your principal has already given permission, then you still qualify for the blanket one. So if you have confusions, talk to me, but this is your IRB application that everybody has to fill up. Okay. You are the principal investigator, so you're going to make your signatures over here and do that. Put my name as your faculty advisor in this section as a co-investigator and faculty advisor, which is why you also need my training certificate. And then I will take care of all the other signatures. I will take care of everything else that you need. Okay. So what do you need when you are submitting this application? When you're submitting this document, you are going to need all of these. Some of these may apply, some of these don't apply to you. So obviously you need your application, you need your CITI certificate, you're going to submit it. You need the consent form. Now it depends whether it's a parent consent, whether it's a consent for a teacher, what sort of a consent form it is. So that's the consent form that you need. And you may need only one consent form, you may need two consent forms. That's why it's given there. The script of what you would say if you were recruiting your participants. So that is one thing. Or script of what you would say to the parents to use their students' data. So one of these things that you need. So 3 and 4 or 5 and 6, right? You need your email consent from the principal or the supervisor. You're going to attach it here too, for sure. Okay. Some of you who are using already collected data, let's say you're using STAR data. You do not need consent form, right? You do not really need a script. What you do need is the consent from the principal or the email from the principal. So it is, what documents do you need? Your data collection instrument. So here, if you have, let's say the STAR test, I don't need the whole STAR test. I could add like a sample question or something else. Okay. And then you are going to also add my CITI certificate. So if you put your application with all the documents and my CITI certificate in one file, so all the documents and in one file, you actually get 5 bonus points for your application. Okay, so here's my certificate for you. Here's the document. If you have confusion about what documents you need, please ask me. Everybody would have an application. Some of you may have a consent, some of you may have a script. Everybody would have their own CITI certificate. and everybody would have a consent or a permission from the principal as applicable. Okay, so the ones who are using data that is within their job responsibilities and they are getting information from there, so this is your instructions to fill it up, and you're going to use the same Dropbox to submit them. Here is, it is a fillable blanket IRB. So where, again, you're putting in all the information, you have all of this information from your research doc, type of data, participation, is it voluntary or not voluntary? Well, if you're collecting STAR data, MAP data, or you're collecting dyslexia data or DIBELS or any of those things, it is mandatory, right? Like, in the sense is all of them are a part of the study. So those are the things that you have to think about as you move forward. And so here is where you are going to make acknowledgements. And then here is something that your principal fills in. So either they can sign this form, principal, supervisor, assistant principal, director, whoever. Either they can sign this form here, or you can put their name, role, and everything else, and then, sorry, this is the part where they sign and do all of those things. And here, when they do it, you're going to attach it with this form. Okay. There is going to be confusion about whether I have to do the IRB blanket or I don't have to do it. If you are collecting data within your job responsibilities, and we've talked about it, you will do both the IRB application and the blanket. The benefit of that is I can approve the blanket IRBs, and it does not have to go, the application does not have to go to the IRB committee, does not have to go externally to the IRB chair, and you have to wait for approval to actually collect the data and do the analysis. So the process is very fast. It really, really helps a lot if you are able to do the blanket IRB. I urge you, if you can figure out a way to do the blanket IRB, you should do that. In some situations, like if you're surveying the teachers or doing those things, if you need consent from the teacher, so those are like your have to go through the IRB application, unless we can figure out a way that you are just having the principal's permission to do it and it's within your job responsibilities. Okay, so talk to me. I know it's a little confusing, but I'm hoping that by this time you know what you're doing. And if you don't, I am here. Okay, this is our last hurdle before you guys can actually start doing your data collection and analyzing and finishing it up, right? Next week is spring break, so you are already in half the semester is over. I front load my semester so that you get all this information and everything in the beginning, so that you can take the second half of the semester to actually work on this stuff and doing all the refining that is needed. So let me know what questions you have, and I am more than happy to answer your questions. Best of luck.